Week 4 to 5, Customer Churn Prediction with Classification Models. Welcome to this hands-on notebook focused on predicting customer churn. You will learn how to use Python and machine learning to find out which customers are likely to leave a company. We will use the telco customer churn dataset, explore the data, clean it, build classification models, and interpret results. Customer churn prediction helps businesses keep their customers by taking action before someone leaves. Let us get started. Running the cell now. First, let us suppress unnecessary warning messages so our notebook is tidy. This tells Python not to show warning messages in our notebook. Import numpy as np. We set the random seed to 42 for reproducibility. Running the cell now. This code sets up a clean environment for our churn prediction project by suppressing warnings and fixing the random seed for reproducibility. Although it produces no visible output, these steps are crucial to ensure that our results are consistent and the notebook stays tidy as we move forward with data exploration and modeling. Let us load the telco customer churn dataset from IBM's public source. We add a comment describing what this cell does. We import pandas, a library for working with data tables. We set the dataset's URL for downloading the data. We load the CSV file from the internet into a data frame called df. We print the number of rows and columns so we know how much data we have. We show the first 3 rows to see what the data looks like. Running the cell now. The output shows the dataset contains 7,043 customer records and 21 features, which include demographic info, service details, and the target variable our churn. Seeing the first 3 rows helps us understand the data's structure and variety, essential for preparing and building our churn prediction models. This initial overview confirms we have a rich set of variables to work with for classification. Try changing the number in head 3 to head 5 to see more sample rows. Step 1. Understanding the data. Let us take a closer look at the churn data. Each row represents a customer. Columns describe customer demographics, contract information, services used, and whether they have churned. The churn column says if a customer has left or stayed. Running the cell now. Now, let us see if our dataset has any missing data. First, we add a comment explaining our goal. We check for missing or empty values in the dataset. We print only the columns that actually have missing values. Running the cell now. This output shows that there are no missing values in the dataset, as indicated by the empty series. This is important because it means we can proceed with analysis without needing to handle incomplete data, ensuring the integrity of our insights into customer churn. Let us look at quick summary statistics to get a sense of the numbers in our data. This comment tells that we are about to summarize the numbers. We print statistics like mean, minute, max, and standard deviation for all the number columns. Running the cell now. This summary table shows key statistics for numerical columns like senior citizen, tenure, and monthly charges, providing a quick snapshot of the data's distribution. Notice the average tenure is about 32 months, with a wide range from 0 to 72, and that most customers are not seniors, as indicated by the mean close to 0. This helps us understand the general customer profile and service usage before exploring patterns related to churn. Now, let us check what types of data each column has, and see what values the churn column can take. This line is a comment describing that the next commands will show column data types and unique values for churn. This line prints the data types of all columns in the data frame, so we know what kind of data each column holds. This line prints all the unique values found in the churn column to understand the different categories or labels present. Running the cell now. This output confirms the data types of each column, showing a mix of categorical, object, numerical, int 64, float 64, and one object-typed column that might need conversion, total charges. Notably, the churn column is categorical with two unique values, no and yes, indicating whether a customer has left. This helps us understand the structure of the data before any cleaning or analysis, aligning with our goal of familiarizing ourselves with the churn dataset. Let us count how many customers have left versus stayed. The comment summarizes the question answered here. We count how many rows have churn as yes and how many have no. This gives us the basic split. Running the cell now. This output shows the number of customers who have churned versus those who have not. Notice that out of 7,043 customers, 1,869 have churned while 5,174 have stayed, indicating the dataset is imbalanced. Understanding this distribution is key for building and evaluating churn prediction models later in the lesson. Step 2. Data cleaning and pre-processing. The data sometimes needs cleaning before it can be used in machine learning. Fix or remove empty values. Convert text data to numbers. Pick the columns we need. Let us start the cleaning process. Running the cell now. Sometimes, numbers are read as text. Let us fix the total charges column by converting it to numbers, and remove any rows where this fails. We need to turn text numbers into real numbers. This makes calculations possible. This changes the total charges column into numeric type and puts null where it cannot convert. Now, we remove any rows where total charges could not be fixed. This step makes sure we have only good data. Running the cell now. This code converts the total charges column to a numeric type, coercing any non-numeric entries to nan, and then removes those rows with missing values. This ensures that our dataset only contains valid numerical data for total charges, which is essential for accurate analysis and modeling. Notice how these steps help clean the data by fixing inconsistent entries and handling empty values as part of pre-processing. For machine learning, our target column, churn, needs to be numeric. Let us map yes to 1 and no to 0. We want the computer to understand if a customer left as the number 1, and if they stayed as 0. This is a simple translation. We replace the churn column values yes and no with 1 and 0, respectively, using the map function. Running the cell now. Here, we've transformed the churn column from categorical text labels into numerical values, replacing yes with 1 and no with 0. This encoding is essential for machine learning models, which require numerical input instead of text. It prepares the data for efficient processing in the next modeling steps. Let us pick our input features and the target. We drop customer ID because it is just a label, not useful for learning. We set X as our input data, dropping both the customer ID and churn columns. X has all the features we want to use to make predictions. Y is just the churn column that tells us if someone left or not. Running the cell now. Here, we separate the features X from the target variable, Y, by dropping non-informative ID columns and the target itself from the dataset. This step ensures the model only learns from relevant data, preparing for further cleaning and transformation before training. Notably, there's no printed output since this is a data preparation step to set up inputs and labels. Now, let us turn all text columns into numeric columns using one-hot encoding, so machine learning models can use them. Many algorithms need all input to be numbers, not words. This command replaces words by columns of zeros and ones so they are machine-friendly. Running the cell now. This code transforms all categorical columns in the dataset into dummy variables, creating separate binary columns for each category. Although there's no printed output here, this step is crucial because it converts text data into a numerical format that machine learning models can process effectively. Notice how this pre-processing prepares your data for more accurate and efficient modeling. Step 3. Split data for training and testing. To check if our model really works, we split our data so it learns from some, training, and is tested on the rest, testing. Running the cell now. We are going to use scikit-learn's train_test_split to split our data for training and testing. We use random_state equals 42 so we always get the same split. This comment explains our split, 70% for training, 30% for testing. We import the tool for splitting data. We create for sets x_train and y_train for learning, x_test and y_test for checking how well our model works. Running the cell now. Here we split our dataset into training and testing sets, with 70% for training and 30% for testing. Although there's no visible output, notice that by setting random_state equals 42, the split is consistent every time, ensuring reliable model evaluation across runs. This step is crucial to fairly assess how well our model generalizes to new, unseen data. Step 4. Train a logistic regression model. Let us start with a simple and powerful classification method called logistic regression. Logistic regression works well for yes or no problems. Running the cell now. We will use scikit-learn to build our logistic regression model. This imports the logistic regression class. This is a comment explaining that the next steps create and train the model. We create a logistic regression model with a maximum of 1,000 iterations to ensure it converges. We train the logistic regression model using the training data and labels. Running the cell now. The output shows that the logistic regression model has been successfully created with a maximum of 1,000 iterations set for convergence. This confirms that the model is now ready and trained on the provided data. Notice how concise and straightforward the code is for initiating a powerful classifier suitable for binary yes-no predictions, aligning with the lesson's focus on starting with logistic regression. Try changing max_iter to 2000 if you ever see convergence warnings with other data. Now, let us use the model to predict which customers in our test set have churned. The comment tells us that we are now making predictions. We use our trained model to guess if people in a test data set will churn or not. Running the cell now. The code uses the trained logistic regression model to predict customer churn on the test data, producing the array y_pred of predicted labels. Although there's no printed output here, we should now have a vector of yes-no predictions ready to evaluate. This step is key because it applies our model to new data, moving from training to real-world classification. Let us evaluate how well our model makes predictions by checking its accuracy. This comment tells that we are testing the model's quality. We import accuracy_score from scikit-learn metrics to help measure correctness. We calculate accuracy by comparing the predictions to true answers. We print the accuracy score, rounded to 2 decimal places. Running the cell now. This output shows that our logistic regression model correctly predicted 80% of the test cases, indicating a strong baseline performance for this yes-no classification task. Notice the accuracy score, as it summarizes how well the model distinguishes between the two classes overall. This metric is crucial for understanding if logistic regression is a good fit before exploring more complex models. To see where our model gets things right or wrong, let us display the confusion matrix. Now we are working on model results details. This helps us see specific errors. We import a function to create a confusion matrix. We compute the matrix by comparing true outcomes with our guesses. We print the resulting confusion matrix. Running the cell now. This confusion matrix shows how well our logistic regression model classifies the test data, with 1378 true negatives and 300 true positives indicating correct predictions. Notice the off-diagonal values, 171 false positives and 261 false negatives, which highlight where the model made errors. This helps us understand the model's strengths and weaknesses beyond simple accuracy, crucial for evaluating yes-no classification performance. Accuracy is useful, but precision and recall give a fuller picture of how the model performs. This comment sets up a focus on advanced evaluation. We import classification_report to view more performance details. We show scores about how good the model is at finding both churned and stayed customers. Running the cell now. This classification report shows how well our logistic regression model predicts customer behavior, with separate metrics for those who stayed versus churned. Notice the model performs better at identifying customers who stayed, higher precision and recall, than those who churned, reflecting a common challenge in imbalanced datasets. This step highlights the importance of evaluating both precision and recall to understand strengths and weaknesses before improving our model. Let us see if a decision tree, another popular classifier, gives similar or better accuracy. We will limit tree depth for simplicity. We mention a new classifier for comparison. We import the decision tree tool. We build a decision tree model and use a fixed random seed. Now we train the decision tree using training data. We use the tree to predict churns on the test set. Finally, we print the decision tree's accuracy. Running the cell now. Here, we trained a decision tree classifier and obtained an accuracy of about 78.5% on the test set. This output gives us a benchmark to compare when we next train our logistic regression model, helping to see which method performs better for this yes/no classification task. Notice the accuracy score summarizes overall correctness, guiding us in model selection. Try adjusting max_depth or using different classifiers for even deeper understanding. Quick recap and your next steps. In this notebook you learn to load a real churn dataset. Clean and prepare your data. Build and test both logistic regression and decision tree models. Measure accuracy and see where the models work best. To practice, try changing parameters, use more models, or visualize top features. If you learned something valuable, subscribe to the channel and keep exploring data mining. Running the cell now.